good morning, evening, or night. Wherever you are, welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Monday, 5th May, 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. China is grappling with economic challenges, exacerbated by trade disputes and internal market corrections. New U.S. tariffs are prompting Chinese garment manufacturers to seek new markets, while the diversion of exports from the U.S. increases the risk of deflation within China. U.S. retailers are accelerating their Christmas merchandise procurement from China due to tariff uncertainties. To stimulate its economy and enhance cultural exchange amid trade concerns, China is increasing its engagement with K-pop idols. Alipay witnessed a surge in inbound spending during the Labor Day holiday, particularly from Hong Kong, with spending doubling or tripling compared to the previous year. Ant Group is planning to list its overseas division in Hong Kong, while Crore, a Chinese CAD software firm, is concentrating on AI applications and also planning an IPO in Hong Kong. Tesla is actively promoting its LiDAR-free self-driving system in China, awaiting regulatory approval from Beijing for its full self-driving FSD system. China is encouraging increased cooperation among Japan, South Korea, and ASEAN countries to mitigate the impacts of ongoing trade war uncertainties. However, Chinese toy exporters are encountering challenges due to U.S. tariffs, leading them to avoid displaying products developed for U.S. clients at trade events like the Canton Fair. Turning to the United States, it is playing a central role in the evolving global economic landscape, especially in relation to its trade dynamics with China. The U.S.'s imposition of tariffs on Chinese goods is prompting both U.S. retailers and Chinese manufacturers to adjust their strategies. U.S. retailers are speeding up their procurement of Christmas merchandise from China amidst the tariff uncertainty. The U.S. Indo-Pacific commander has warned that the U.S.'s military advantage over China is diminishing. Market analyst Gary Shilling is considering investments in India, partly in response to the ongoing U.S.-China trade war. Saudi Arabia is navigating a complex economic landscape marked by fluctuating oil prices and a significant push for diversification. The nation recorded a $15.65 billion deficit in the first quarter of 2025, prompting some Saudi companies to retrench amidst uncertainty surrounding the country's oil strategy. However, parallel growth is evident in non-oil sectors, with bank lending reaching $827 billion in March, the fastest growth in over 3.5 years, though the non-oil business sector's growth eased somewhat in April. The robotics market is projected to exceed $2,094.10 million by 2033, and the skincare products market is anticipated to reach $2.20 billion within the same time frame. Saudi fintech firm Qudlet recently secured $3 million in seed funding, highlighting the country's burgeoning tech scene. Partnerships are also playing a key role, with Lucid and King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, COST, collaborating to advance EV technology, and the Saudi investment recycling company, SIR, partnering with a management company to boost recycling infrastructure. Saudi Arabia's global ranking in open data has improved significantly, jumping 28 spots to 9th in the G20. The Bank of New York Mellon has secured a license for its regional headquarters in Saudi Arabia. However, Saudi Arabia's efforts to invest in Indian refineries have faced setbacks due to crude oil supply challenges. In other business news, Saudi Chemicals Group SABIC reported a Q&A net loss of $323 million. A Saudi-backed port developer is also considering a harbor deal in South Africa. Oil prices have generally declined after the Saudi-led OPECs agreed to lift output, sparking concerns about oversupply among analysts. India's stock market saw a boost, driven by positive trade sentiment and lower crude oil prices. The Sensex closed at 80,796.84, an increase of 295 points, while the Nifty 50 finished at 24,461.15, having opened at 24,419.5. Investor wealth increased by roughly Lakh, Crore. Foreign institutional investors, FUIs, turned into net buyers in April, investing yielded 3,243 crore in equity after 3 months of net selling. Key Q4 2025. Results are expected this week from major companies including Paytm, Coal India, Asian Paints, L&T, and Swiggy. The country is also gearing up for the first listing of residential mortgage-backed securities, and the Finks company acquired a stock exchange division for AI training purposes. NC CEO Ashish Kumar Chauhan highlighted the Nifty Waves index's goal to tap into India's creative sector potential. The country may also offer significant tax incentives to the Saudi Wealth Fund and has recalled its top envoy to the IMF after criticism of the fund's analysis. Following a deadly attack in Pahalgam, Pakistan is now seeking Russia's help to mediate and reduce tensions with India. Taiwan's currency saw wild fluctuations, initially hitting a multi-year peak versus the US dollar amid broad Asian currency gains. This rise caused concerns about the impact of US tariffs. Later, the stock market tumbled, linked to the currency's rapid climb. Taiwan is also actively lobbying the U.S. for support in joining the World Health Organization, WHO. In defense news, Taiwan tracked 8 Chinese naval vessels and 6 military aircraft operating nearby. Domestically, Taiwan is increasing penalties to NT $36,000 for causing severe harm or death to pedestrians. The median age of parents at childbirth in Taiwan is now above 32 years. The island recently discovered ractopamine in imported pork for the first time. Advantech's CEO highlighted challenges from tariffs and the strong currency. ATC secured a contract to upgrade a Taipower substation. The U.S. House will vote on 2 Taiwan-related bills. A magnitude 5.9 earthquake was recorded off Taiwan's east coast. South Korea is navigating a dynamic landscape with shifts in its economy, retail sector, and demographics. The Kospi is projected to open positively, spurred by economic stimulus measures. The housing market is seeing new strategies, such as equity mortgages, intended to make homeownership more accessible for younger individuals. Retail giant IKEA has launched its first mixed-use store in the country, indicating expansion in the sector, while Lululemon is emphasizing community and culture to enhance sales. The retail sector is also adapting to demographic shifts. Despite a shrinking child population, adults are driving the growth of the toy market, and children's medicine sales are increasing despite declining birth rates. Modular construction is also gaining momentum as an answer to global housing challenges. South Korea's Financial Services Commission, AFSC, recently declared that nonprofit organizations and exchanges will be authorized to participate in free cryptocurrency trading beginning in June, which will allow them to sell virtual assets. Culturally, South Koreans are seeking inventive gifts for Parents' Day, and the Air Jordan 3 Seoul 2 is a tribute to South Korea. Internationally, Hanwha Ocean is seeking to win contracts from the U.S. Navy, particularly as Trump seeks to strengthen ties in shipbuilding. Australia's economic outlook is influenced by global trade uncertainties, as highlighted by Westpac's analysis, which led to a decline in share prices following a profit shortfall. However, the country anticipates political stability under the current Labour government, especially given potential uncertainties linked to a possible Trump 2 administration in the United States. The Australian stock market shows mixed performance, with 78 stocks at 52-week highs and 63 at lows. Australia and New Zealand are collaborating to support their film sectors in response to proposed US tariffs on foreign films. The Australian network security market is forecast to hit USD 4.1 billion by 2033, with a strong CAGR of 13.7%. Global markets are reacting to US-China trade tensions, resulting in a weaker dollar and increased demand for gold, pushing its price up by over 2% YoY. These tensions also impact economies like Australia, as noted by Westpac. India's rupee, INR, is strengthening against the US dollar, supported by continuous foreign capital inflows and lower crude oil prices. The Indian Nifty, 50 and Sensex indices rose by 0.47% and 0.37% respectively, driven by foreign investments and optimism related to a potential US trade deal. Hong Kong's monetary authority intervened in the currency market to uphold the Hong Kong dollar's peg to the US dollar. The intervention was triggered by significant capital inflows and the rising value of regional currencies. Investment guru Warren Buffett continues to advocate for equities over real estate, emphasizing their ease of transaction and diverse investment prospects. Russia's economy has shown surprising resilience despite Western sanctions, though the threat of U.S. secondary sanctions looms. Activity was observed in financial sector share prices on the Russian stock market, MOEX, on May 5, 2025. President Vladimir Putin maintains that Russia can achieve its objectives in Ukraine and sees no current need for nuclear weapons, hoping the situation remains unchanged. However, Russia has tripled its 2025 deficit forecast, citing potential risks from low oil prices. Moscow recently reported repelling 4 drones approaching the city. Analysts believe sanctions have largely cut Russia off from global financial networks. Factory sector data showed a slight improvement in April, according to PMI. Turning to Ukraine, President Zelensky has indicated that a ceasefire with Russia could be reached at any time. While discussions continue regarding a proposed 3-day truce, both Russia and Ukraine have engaged in retaliatory strikes. Canada is experiencing a notable increase in wildfires, especially in British Columbia and Alberta, prompting air quality alerts across several provinces and in parts of the United States. The Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre reports that the current wildfire season is exceeding previous averages, straining resources and raising concerns about long-term environmental impact. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has pledged federal support to affected regions. Meanwhile, Canada's economic landscape shows signs of stabilization, with recent data indicating a steady unemployment rate and moderate growth in key sectors like manufacturing and technology. The United States is grappling with ongoing debates over federal spending and debt ceiling negotiations, as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warns of potential economic repercussions if Congress fails to reach an agreement. President Joe Biden is actively engaged in bipartisan talks to avert a default, while Republicans are pushing for significant spending cuts. Separately, the U.S. Justice Department is intensifying its scrutiny of tech giants, focusing on potential antitrust violations and data privacy concerns. The investigations are targeting companies such as Google, Apple, and Amazon, with the aim of ensuring fair competition in the digital marketplace. China is making significant strides in its space program, successfully launching a new crewed mission to its Tiangong space station, further solidifying its presence in space exploration. The mission aims to conduct scientific experiments and maintain the station's operational capabilities. Economically, China is closely monitoring global trade dynamics, particularly in light of rising tensions with the United States and Europe. China's government has announced new measures to stimulate domestic consumption and support key industries, amidst concerns about slowing economic growth. Russia. Russia is facing increased international scrutiny following allegations of cyber attacks targeting critical infrastructure in several Western countries, leading to heightened diplomatic tensions and calls for sanctions. The Kremlin denies any involvement in these activities. Domestically, Russia is preparing for upcoming regional elections, with the ruling party facing challenges from opposition groups amid concerns about political freedoms and transparency. President Vladimir Putin has reiterated his commitment to strengthening Russia's sovereignty and protecting its national interests. Asian markets presented a mixed picture, influenced by holidays in Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, and China. Lower trading volumes were noted, with Australian stocks showing weakness amidst a general rally in Asian currency. This rally was fueled by a weakening US dollar and increasing optimism about potential trade agreements, causing some tension among regional financial authorities. Data from May 2025 indicates high insider ownership in Asian growth companies. Oil prices globally saw a sharp decline, dropping more than $2 per barrel. This followed an announcement from OPEC+ about a surprising increase in oil output, which further affected Asian markets and their trading patterns. European markets displayed a mixed performance, reflecting cautious investor sentiment. The UK observed a bank holiday, resulting in market closures. Austria's Erste Group Bank experienced an 8% surge in share value after acquiring a stake in Santander's Polish unit. Despite initial trade concerns, European firms are showing resilience. European shares saw minimal movement as investors keenly observed trade negotiations and Federal Reserve policy. Airline stocks across Europe rose, driven by lower oil prices reducing fuel cost anxieties. Macau is actively seeking collaborations with European partners to diversify its economic relationship. As the day progressed, European shares saw a slight dip as investors awaited further tariff-related news. Ukraine has launched drone attacks targeting Moscow, escalating tensions in the region. Meanwhile, pro-Russian war bloggers reported attacks in Russia's Kursk region, indicating expanding conflict zones. Amidst these developments, Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed hope that nuclear weapons would not be necessary in Ukraine. His statements come as former U.S. President Donald Trump voiced skepticism about achieving peace in Ukraine, citing Putin's position on nuclear weapons as a significant obstacle. South Africa's power utility, Eskom, anticipates fewer power cuts despite increasing demand. Gold Fields, a South African company, plans to acquire Australia's Gold Road resources for $2 billion, 40 cents billion. The most expensive South African city for groceries is expected to be revealed soon. Citizens await updates on obtaining smart IDs and passports through bank branches. Transitioning to Australia, Gold Road Resources is set to be acquired by South Africa's Goldfields in a $2 billion, 40 cents billion deal. In the latest from Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addressed the ongoing concerns regarding inflation and housing affordability. The Canadian government is also reviewing its policies on immigration to address labor shortages. Discussions continue regarding the implementation of a national pharmacare program. Sunoco's strategic acquisition of Canada-based Parkland for roughly $9.10 billion, inclusive of debt, marks a significant shift in the energy sector. Meanwhile, Toronto gears up to host ETHWomen, ETHToronto, and Canada Crypto Week, joining the worldwide festivities commemorating Ethereum's 10th anniversary. Daezang is actively boosting its profile in North America, presenting its Jonga and O-Food brands at SILE Canada 2025. Vietnam is currently experiencing a surge in Chinese investment, fueled by economic conditions that mirror China's period of rapid industrial expansion. Complementing this influx of capital Vietnam has also introduced the KRX trading system, a development expected to modernize the country's financial markets and pave the way for an elevated market classification. The KRS system promises improved trading efficiencies and heightened appeal for investors. Romania is seeing significant political upheaval, with a far-right leader advancing to a runoff election against a centrist mayor. Following these electoral gains by the far right, the Romanian Prime Minister is anticipated to resign. Indonesia's economic growth reached 4.87%, falling short of expectations due to weakened consumption. In international economic affairs, Prabowo is scheduled to meet with Bill Gates on May 7th, while Danantara is reportedly in discussions with Eramet regarding a potential nickel deal. Spain is reviewing its labor and economic policies, including a planned reduction of the work week to 37.5 hours. Furthermore, a public hearing will be held regarding Babiva's hostile bid for Sabadell. Pakistan is seeking Russian mediation to de-escalate tensions with India, following a deadly attack in Pahalgam. Meanwhile, the first Hajj flight from Pakistan is scheduled to depart for Saudi Arabia. United States oil prices have dropped to around $56 a barrel after OPEC Plus announced plans to increase oil supply, making drilling wells unprofitable for many U.S. companies. The Trump Organization, led by Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, is pursuing new deals in Doha, Qatar, for a multi-billion-dollar project. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has suggested the United States might reduce the reciprocal tariff imposed, even as Malaysia's economic growth is projected to miss its target. Singapore's dollar has strengthened to 1.29 against the US dollar amid an Asian currency rally. Eastspring is expanding its retail presence by adding 4 funds in Singapore. Germany is preparing for Friedrich Merz to assume office as Chancellor, bringing with him a new cabinet. The incoming government has pledged to implement reforms and make strategic investments, as detailed in their coalition agreement. Austria's Erste Group Bank has acquired a 49% stake in Santander's Polish unit for approximately 6.8 billion euros. Brazilian economists have revised their interest rate forecasts downward in anticipation of a forthcoming policy meeting. Azerbaijan is seeing declining oil prices following OPEC's announcement about increasing output. Sri Lanka is experiencing significant economic contributions from Belluna Lanka. South Sudan may see its vice president dismissed, according to reports coming from East Africa. Egypt and Saudi Arabia have formalized their health sector cooperation through the signing of a memorandum of understanding. Montenegro's Poliex reported a net profit increase to 4.3 million euros in 2024, indicating a positive financial trajectory. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM Today.